You probably do not know me, but if I told you that in the next 5 minutes I could show you how you could save enough money to cover a couple of car payments, or maybe half of a mortgage payment, or maybe wipe out a small credit card, or maybe find enough money to go on a Disney vacation, would you listen to me for about the next 10 minutes? So this is how it usually goes. Your new tax property bill arrives, you open the envelope, you look at the numbers, and once you make out the numbers, you turn to your spouse and you say, "Can you believe that our property taxes went up again?" I bet that this story repeats just about every year, and every year you ask yourself, where will this money come from? Some of you even know how to file a tax protest, and some of you maybe even doing it every year, and every year you hate the process. And some of you will actually go through this dreaded process, and some of you will just put the form, the new tax form, somewhere on your desk. Within a short amount of time, it will get covered with some other piece of paper, and lo and behold, you forgot that the tax protest date is due, and you spend the year looking at your increased mortgage payment, hoping that next year it won't go up again. Now that you've probably seen enough of my face, let me go ahead and start sharing my slides so you can start learning how to make this dreaded process better, faster, and most importantly, much more effective. Here is the secret. Most people are just like you. Just like you, most people absolutely detest dealing with all of this governmental paperwork. This year, you will hold in your hand a very handy guide that will allow you to go through the tax protest process as quickly as you are checking off things on your to-do list in the morning. Now, if you want to, you can skip ahead and go straight to the page where you will find a step-by-step guide to help you to file the protest and get at least some of your money back this year. But I do not recommend skipping this video. There are a few small details that most people miss on the form, and that's where mistakes happen. So if you got a couple of minutes, stick around. It might be the difference between a minor saving and a major win. We're about to get into it, but first, a quick pit stop. There are two versions of the tax protest form in Texas, one for the larger counties and one for the smaller counties. I'm not going to overtalk it, just read what's on the screen and follow the instructions. Let's jump to the good stuff. So this is the form, the property owner's notice of protest. How do you get this form? Number one, if you go to the link that I provide at the bottom, you're going to see a way to download the form on your computer or on your device. Go through the form field by field. So when you start to fill out your form, you know exactly what to do. Number one, appraisal district name. Whatever county you're in, let's just say I'm in Dallas County, so I have a Dallas County appraisal district. If you're in Tarrant County appraisal district, and so on. Tax year. Tax year is whatever year you're currently in. Don't overthink it. Appraisal district account number. If you don't know this information, don't sweat it. It won't be that necessary. Even if you filed your exemptions before, make sure to check off all the boxes that qualify. Here's one thing that I will tell you. However your name appears on your property tax notice, that is the way that you're going to put it here, because this first page is not where you correct your name spelling. So go ahead and just put it the way that it's spelled on the appraisal district notice. Mailing address. Mailing address is probably the same address where you received the notice. So turn around your tax appraisal notice and see where it was delivered. Probably this is going to be what you need to put in for your mailing address. Property description. Property description is different from mailing address. I hope we all know that. So go ahead and put your actual property address. If you only own a lot of land, then provide a legal description. And if it is a mobile home, then you probably know what to do. All right, we're getting to the nitty-gritty of this entire video. Let's talk about the reasons for protest. That part is what really counts in this form. And this is where the real protest magic happens. So here is my first pro move that I'm going to share with you. Of course, you might already know that. Always check this first checkbox. Incorrect appraised market value or value is unequal compared to other properties. Even if you do not know if the value is incorrect, even if you do not know if the value is unequal to other properties, you always, always, always check this box. Property should not be taxed in some kind of taxing unit. Property is not located in this appraisal district or otherwise should not be included in the appraisal district records. I actually do not know of a good example of when these checkboxes could be properly used. The rule is like this. If you don't check off a box, you cannot bring the evidence or they cannot apply the evidence to the final finding on your tax protest. So as far as I'm concerned, put a checkbox everywhere where you think you might have a chance. Next, failure to send required notice. Even if the notice arrived, your appraisal district has no ability to track whether or not your notice really arrived or not. So I always would check failure to send required notice just in case. How would the appraisal district know or be able to verify? Exemption was denied, modified, or canceled. Again, you don't know what exemptions you're qualified for. And who knows, maybe we could figure out how to use this checkbox once you're in front of the board. If somebody asks you, why do you think that exemption was denied, modified, or canceled? You say, I'm so sorry, I'm not an appraiser. I do not know what exemptions I'm qualified for. This is what I'm here to find out. Temporary disaster damage exemption was denied or modified. I don't know when this checkbox would be appropriate, but I have a feeling that it has something to do with FEMA assistance. But right now, for the purpose of this presentation, we will just assume that this does not apply to you. Ag use, open space, or other special appraisal was denied. Change in the use of land appraised as ag use, and also incorrectly appraised or market value of land under special appraisal for ag use. So all of those three checkboxes relate to ag exempt properties. For that reason, I'm not going to even focus on them because this presentation is not about ag exempt properties. Owner name is incorrect or property description is incorrect. If your name was indeed spelled incorrectly, perfect. This is the place to complain about it. Now, I always would check property description is incorrect because I have no idea what my property description should be. And if somebody asks me, why did you check property description is incorrect? I can always say, I'm so sorry. I'm not a properly trained appraiser. I do not know whether my property description is correct or incorrect. If you think it is correct, please ignore it. By the way, you can claim the same explanation for all other checkboxes that you're going to put on this form. Incorrect damage assessment rating for a property qualified for a temporary disaster exemption. If you know what that checkbox means, you probably already know if you're qualified for the checkbox, but for most of us, we probably do not qualify for a temporary disaster exemption. Circuit breaker limitation on appraised value for other real property was denied, modified, or canceled. Okay, if your circuit breakers are not in the best of shape, that does not mean that this applies to you. This is actually for people who are landlords. They only check the circuit breaker box if you own a non-homestead property and your value increased by more than 20% and you did not make any major improvements or change of ownership. So if you're not a landlord and if you live in your own property, then the circuit breaker exemption probably does not apply to you. Other, this is the money that most homeowners leave on the table. When people see other, they kind of freeze up. They don't know what to say. But here is the truth. If you leave it blank, you could be walking away from hundreds or even thousands of dollars in tax savings. So do not skip it. Instead, we're going to write condition rating is incorrect. In the next video that we're going to see after this one, I'm going to explain to you how to use the checkbox next to the word other and these 4 words, condition rating is incorrect, to max out whatever savings that you could from your tax appraisal district. Section 4, additional facts. What is your opinion of your property value? It looks very harmless. It's just a little checkbox asking you, what's your opinion? And here is where the trick is. Most people do not know what to put in that field. Many people put in that field what they think their property could sell for if they try to sell it today. Some people try to put a random number, let's just say 357. But in reality, none of those approaches are correct. What I would recommend is that you fill it out as a range. So let's just say that you don't think that in your neighborhood, any home could ever appraise for less than 250. But at the same time, you don't think that in your neighborhood, any home would appraise for more than 750. Feel free to put a range 250 to 750. And if somebody asks you during the hearing, why did you put 250 to 750? Your go-to response is always is, I'm so sorry. I'm not a professional appraiser. I do not know how to understand the opinion of my property value, so I put in what I thought I needed to put in. And would that be the end of the form? It is not. The last part is very, very important. It says provide facts that might help to resolve this protest. The mistake that many people do is they put what they believe they need to say in this little check, in this box right here. And this way, if they specify, let's just say my AC is old, or my home needs a lot of repairs, they lock themselves out from being able to say anything else during the protest. How do we handle that? We will write something else. We will write, I will bring supporting documents to the ARB hearing. I believe some documentation could suggest the value could be lower than what is listed above. Before we move on to the next page of the protest form, I want to emphasize that this check mark right here, incorrect appraised market value or unequal compared to other properties, is the backbone of your protest. Let's wrap this form up. Just a couple of more master moves and you will be all ready to go. Section 5. Let's choose our battleground. First, informal conference. Go ahead and check yes on the informal conference. Do you request an informal conference with the appraisal before the protest hearing? In many cases, if you show up at an informal conference and present the data that you're planning to give to them during the actual hearing, they can tell you whether or not the data that you're planning to present will be sufficient to support your case. So even though it's an extra hearing, during this informal conference hearing, you can find out whether your plan of which I'm going to tell you a little bit more on the next video of how to protest it correctly, whether your plan is sufficiently supported. So go ahead and request an informal conference. You will not regret it. Do you request a single member panel or a regular panel of at least 3 members? Always choose a 3-member panel. Remember, the more people are at your hearing, the better are the odds that at least one of those people will agree with your arguments. And that might be all that you need to secure your $800 to $1,000 to $1,500 savings that you could use to pay down your credit card. I would recommend avoiding the one-person panel. Selecting a one-person panel is like showing up to the game and realizing that the referee is also the other team's coach. No, thank you. I intend to appear to the hearing scheduled for my protest in the following manner. Check only one box. In person. I know that for many of you, that sounds like something out of your nightmare, and you would rather chew glass than sit in a room with strangers discussing some numbers. However, if it helps you think about it this way, this short 15 to 20-minute meeting is not just you having a tense discussion. It is you paying off a credit card. It is you helping your kids to get their first car. Or maybe it is you covering a medical bill or fixing your AC. And do not worry, in the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how to prep, what to bring, what to say, and how to present your case without nerves or without guesswork during that hearing. So if you're physically able, if you are not traveling, if you have a car and you can drive, go ahead and check off that in-person option. And if not, then choose the one that you feel will give you enough opportunity to present your case without technical difficulties. So if you do not know how to use video conference, maybe video conference is not the best choice for you. I do not recommend using a written affidavit if you can help it. Anytime you can speak with a live person who is able to ask you questions about the evidence that you brought in, you have much higher chance of having your arguments accepted. Section 6, Hearing Notice and Procedures. I request my notice of hearing to be delivered by, again, only one checkbox. I recommend using certified mail. If the protest goes to a hearing, the ARB will automatically send each party a copy of the hearing procedures. Yes, of course you want to receive that. How would you like the tax appraisal district to let you know about your appointment? I recommend checking text because many of us have mailboxes that are overflowing with junk mail. And it is very easy for an important email to get lost in a sea of junk mail. That have happened to me before. For that reason, I know that when something goes to my email box, I may or may not see it, but if something gets texted to me, I will absolutely see it so I can respond to it. Section 7. Special panel request for property value of 61 million or more. I am assuming that if you're watching this video, this is probably not the section that you will have to worry about. And the last but not the least, Section 8, Certification and Signatures. Choose whichever applies to you, property owner or property owner's agent, and then make sure to print, sign, and date. I cannot tell you how many people forget to put a date, and that invalidates the entire hard work that they've done on the previous pages. All right, look at you. You just filled out this long form. You didn't fumble. You stayed in bounds. And guess what? You just made it to the end of zone of round one. But without the next piece of the puzzle, your protest is not a done deal yet. Now would be the perfect time to go back to the description of this video and find a link that will take you to a page that looks like this. This is the page that will allow you to download the materials that you need to make the rest of your protest successful. So without further ado, while you still have this information fresh in your head, make sure to go and download and print the form and start filling it out, because guess what? You might lose a link to this video tomorrow. Make sure to click on the link in the description, go to the page there, put in your information so you could download the rest of the tips and tricks on how to be successful when filing your protest, and get this over with as quickly as possible so you can lock in your opportunity to go to that Disney vacation with your kids at the end of the tax season. All right, my name is Elena Garrett, and I'm a realtor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. If you don't know me, nice to meet you. If you know me, nice to see you again. And now let's get busy with filling out our protest forms. And I will see you guys at the next video that will show you how to gather correct evidence to maximize the savings from your tax protest. Stay tuned. Bye.